Collective, welcome to this reading. It's timeless and it is being done on Easter weekend, but whenever you find this, it will be for you. So I've loaded your cards already to see whether you want to stay around, and it's really interesting. There's a really strong rebirth. There's lots of celebration and rebalance that's trying to come about because of that. But in our potential outcome and our outcome, we are definitely erring on the side of extreme passion. Now, I'm not sure if that's bad or not. We're going to have to dive in. And not that passion is bad per se, but we've got the devil in the mix. So anyway, if that feels like, and I will be capping it afterwards, I've got all my goodies here. Let me know if that works for you. I nearly stopped the video. That's it. No. Right, so let's start. I will be capping it. I'm going to put these back in here. So we start with the devil. How many mages have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 mages. Not too heavy. It's quite... Anyway, we start with the devil. Sorry, the death, not the devil. When I look at this card in detail, I'm seeing this rather lovely shawl around the back of the bishop. It looks like something Granny would have in her cupboard, but it also looks like it has some really beautiful impressions of roses on it. It looks very delicate, and I've never seen it before, and I'm seeing the 3 rivets across the top of his helmet. 1, 2, 3, over his brow. And also some lettering on his flank, and some... So along his thigh he has like score marks as if he's keeping score, and then above that on his hip he has B-E or D-E. Let's see, am I getting that on focus? Helps if I come. So the scores along his thigh and then the lettering on his hip. Things I've never seen before. So there's a rebirth. A death and a rebirth, but what I'm looking at particularly is some sort of delicate element to it on the bishop who's pleading with death. The king is gone, there's a new king coming, but he's still pleading, and he's doing it with that kind of granny shawl. Is it a granny shawl? What is it? I need to turn around. I was travelling yesterday and my back is... Oh, got to get some aloe vera in me. And I'm really concentrating on the hip and this keeping score, the way that we're keeping score of this rebirth, and some sort of information in the hip area, which to me signifies your emotional storehouse and your sense of security. So I wonder what those two, and there's a 3rd letter above it. Wow. This is my first reading since this particular trip to Italy. And it's so lovely. I'm getting a really lovely sparkly feeling around me, like something's coming in with the reading, but it's sort of not the high-pitched noise that I'm used to. It's similar. How lovely. And I'm looking down this path and I'm seeing all these beautiful, I think they must be cyclamen. They're so pretty, they're so delicate all the way along the path. Beautiful. So, okay, the death, the hip, keeping score of all these new... It's like 9 lives. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I think then there's 2, kind of crosses across the first 3. Or am I imagining that? Which would mean 9. Are they talking about 9 lives? And above the BE or DE is like a square. And the purple cliffs behind that are so sheer, how do you get up those? Again, Princess Bride, always a Princess Bride reference, sort of the cliffs of unknowing, or the cliffs of, I mean, I should know. I've read and seen that book so many times, film and read the book. Okay, so internally collective, we are keeping score of the number of times we've had to go through rebirth. It feels a lot. It feels like an extremely turbulent time of change that we've all been living through for several years now. I know we can always say that in different eras, but I think because of the pandemic, because of I won't get into all the politics, but because of all the things that are going on in the world, it's a particular sort of squeeze point, and we're keeping score of how many times there's got to be a rebirth, a sort of re-understanding of the way we go about things. And maybe DE is the beginning of death, I don't know. But it feels insurmountable, those cliffs, those purple cliffs. And I will look up what the reference is in, oh, my neck, in The Princess Bride, because you know, obviously they get to scale those cliffs. I've got that image of Wesley going, the farm boy going up the cliffs. He does it. So it's not that it's impossible. We just think it looks daunting. And then this granny shawl, I'm not sure why that was jumping out to me. It's so pretty. It looks like a sort of rug. It's got that kind of oriental rug feeling of a muted pattern, but rather beautiful. So maybe we're revaluing the kind of moral order in which we do things. Maybe it feels a bit more pressing to engage with that kind of character, that part of our psyche, collective psyche. I mean, a bishop might have quite negative connotations for lots of people, but I think in the way that it's meant to represent here, what we're talking about is how we get morally correct in these times of such upheaval. Yeah, I'll return to that if we need to. How this makes us act in the outside, it's interesting. The Three of Cups, celebration. It's community, so I suppose there is a fair amount of pressure being put on all of us, which means that we are being pushed into communities, unwittingly or not. It might be online, it might be through necessity in our environments. Maybe we're making the sensible decision to value what's local and immediate and those people in our vicinity more, because we realise that when things like the pandemic hit, we need to be connected to our neighbours. I mean, we really should be anyway, shouldn't we? But I suppose all of that came in. You know, I know my experience. Well, I don't know why I'm talking about the pandemic. My experience anyway was making friends with people that I knew in the neighbourhood quite well on my park, but deepening those relationships. I was living on my own, and there was a man who was also living on his own, who I'd always seen walking around the park, and he was lovely. He connected to me. We sort of connected to each other just on our walk. He would walk fast, and I had the dog, and we would chat. And then he started making me beautiful curries that he'd been making, or if he didn't make them especially for me, but he'd put some aside. It was such a kind thing to do, such a sort of connection. And again, with the guy that is in my local shop, we would swap sort of health tips, and I became quite good friends with him, and I still am to this day, all the people in the park. So I suppose there's something about community that's coming to my mind, that in face of this new change, again, another change, another sense of upheaval, that I don't know if you're feeling personally, or if we're about to go through one, or if we just are in one perpetually at the moment. We're looking for community. And we can celebrate that, whatever else is going on. Community will always be really nurturing. So we've got the 3, the 6 and the 9 on the bench here. We've got another 3 coming up. We've got the 9. We've got a 6 below this. That's sort of Tesla's codes. I do not pretend to be an expert in these, but I'm very interested in the idea of them. Okay, so we're outwardly, the transformation is making us look to our communities. It could be a group of friends that make you feel secure. I mean, again, another thing that I'm sure lots of us did was, you know, I'd have Zoom meetups, especially in those early days, with some of my girlfriends that I'd known since I was 10, 11. And there was great security in being kind of bonded in this experience. So community, there's a change, and we're looking, the way it's making us react is to get into our community and celebrate our communities. It's funny, they go so damp here, I forget about how much mist comes down onto them, the cards. Everybody feels a bit faceless here. It is a sort of general sense of community. Obviously one of them we can't see at all. The other two, they have benign expressions. And I like how everything, all of the arms are crossing over to kind of create some sort of, it's a bit like the Five of Wands, where the arms are all crossing and the sticks are all crossing. But this time we're raising our cups of love. We're enjoying our community. I can see the back of her foot there as it raises on its tippy toes. The red, the yellow and the white. So purity, intellectual rigour and understanding and passion, all whirling together to make us feel strong enough in our community to deal with whatever next we've got in store for us. At the basis of the reading, we've got the Six of Pentacles, so reciprocity. We want things to be fair in our communities. We want reciprocity in the world. We want a sense of balance, which has not been there for a while, I would suggest. Certainly lots of people talk about that kind of thing, don't they, in all different walks of life. We don't feel like a balanced society at the moment. So that's what we're probably mainly looking at, is trying to balance things here. I can see that for all, so that everybody gets taken care of in this new society that's coming. Yeah, the 6 coins, he's giving 6 coins away. Sometimes on other decks he only gives 5, I think, and holds one back for himself. Maybe there is still one sort of in his palm. This is a stage card, so it's just a stage. We're trying to get a stage of our lives, that's those lines at the back, sorted, a sense of how things look from the outside, a sense of conscious understanding about our community, needing to get it balanced. Very important. His blue and white robes are standing out to me. He looks a bit like, to me today, that little pixie face under the scales, he looks a bit like the 5 of Swords. So that's where there's a battle that we're not enjoying, and he's the victor, and he's got sort of slightly picturesque ears and this kind of flying hair, and it's a bit like this guy here. I wonder whether Pamela Coleman Smith based it on any of her friends. She must have done. But anyway, it's as if he's turning up as that character from the Five of Swords, saying, it didn't work, this fighting, even though I won, and now I need to ask for some balance because I feel out in the cold too. So the Six of Pentacles really is about reciprocity. It's about everybody having enough. The merchant keeps enough, but he gives away as well. It's a lovely card of balance. You can hear someone up there, or an animal. I'm hoping it's an animal. It's quite early. It's not as early as sometimes I am. Anyway, in the recent past, I think it must be an animal. Heavy-footed. Anyway, in the recent past, we have the King of Cups and the Nine of Wands, feeling emotional, all at sea and defensive. The wounded healer and this great understanding of the emotions, and yet having to feel all of these emotions at the same time. You know, coping, putting up our defences, but definitely not relaxed and at ease. You know, having to be very strategic and wandy in the way that we defend ourselves, and having to cope with, as I say, this ever-changing emotional scape because of the sea that's so violently rolling, with the fish around his neck and in the sea. He does understand emotions, but we say about him, he can feel one way one minute and the next he's feeling something else. Standing out, the red ship behind him. Which reminds me of all the wandy cards, you know, like the Three of Wands, waiting for your ship to come in, that kind of thing. And in fact, the Death card does have some. It's got a boat on the river, but it's not got red sails. And then the feeling of a stage where we feel quite, again, the stage because of those lines, where we feel quite defensive. But we have learnt some lessons. We are the wounded healer. So through all of our trials, we have got some wisdom under our belt. That's the recent past. Potential outcome, Queen of Wands. So feeling kind of dynamic, rule breaky, like we could reinvent things, like we could integrate quite a lot more of that kind of witchy energy that she has around her, connections to nature, sort of shades of the magician or the strength card, like a will, but it's connected to nature. She's holding her sunflower, she's got the cat at her feet, which indicates enormous intuition, and the cat looks directly at us. And you can't necessarily see that always, but look, I see you, it's saying. I've got my eye on you. She's protected either side by the lions looking out, and then also she's in the same landscape as him, isn't she? He's coming up in the future with her pyramids in the background. And she's also got these two lions looking at each other, two looking away. There's quite a balance in that, isn't there? And the sunflowers either side of her, as if she's listening to optimistic, natural messages. But they would be optimistic because the sunflower also appears in the sun, and it's a flower of great optimism, and it always seeks out the sun, and in the law, in the sort of in the natural way that it looks for the sun, so it looks for the more positive. She's firmly grasping both the sunflower and her wand. We can see a little bit of her toe. So one outcome is that we firmly focus on the positive, and we set our sights and we use our intuition to get there. And as a community, I hope, with reciprocity, I hope, where's my voice going? We embody some intuitive wisdom and some witchy wisdom and some unconventional methods, and we follow our passions to something quite good. And the queens all are in the cup, so the queens are all really looking after us. They're about love. So she is a very sort of passionate iteration of that. She's not the Queen of Cups, who's all sort of soft and lovely and empathetic. She's a bit tougher, but we like her. I mean, I love her. I think she's wonderful. Then the Ten of Pentacles coming up in our near future. That's great. It's like this is a very community card again. We got the Six of Pentacles, the Three of Cups, and now this, all indicating that there's some sort of balance coming in our community, some sort of happiness. Ten of Pentacles has what I consider to be like the King of Pentacles sitting there presiding over this family. Everything's balanced. There are pets, there's kids, there's a couple, there's great wealth. It's like understanding our heritage and investing as a community and as separate communities, but as a world community, and then investing wisely in the future so that we're all safe. I just love that. What, is there anything? This is interesting. Why am I... Excuse me. In his hand he's got like a wand with a bubble on the top, the man. What's that? Like a bendy wand with a bubble on the top. It's not a stick. What's the bubble? I've never seen that before. We'll have to investigate that. Now, why am I losing my voice? I was on the plane yesterday and they were spraying us with that stuff, which I find so annoying, and I can still smell it all around me. Even though I had a bath, maybe it's in my nostrils, you know, that kind of... Apparently they want us sprayed coming into the country so that we don't bring any sort of diseases that might have come via other places, but because London's such a hub, I can really smell it. It's really chemically, and I make such a fuss about it every time. There's nothing we can do. Anyway, I can't remember which disease it is, but what's the relevance of that? I hope nothing to do with another disease. And another cure for a disease, a precautionary method of trying to get on top of a disease, or let's hope we don't have any more of that coming to us. Anyway, it's probably, actually, I'm mystifying it, it's probably some bit of pollen that's flown into my mouth. Anyway, our attitude is the Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands, who's looking to the tip of his wand with great excitement and excited by a million ideas a minute. As I say, he's very firmly linked to our one potential outcome, which is the Queen of Wands, because of those. That landscape, that Egyptian landscape that's in all of the major, the sort of, it's in the Knight of Wands. I need to check out the King of Wands, but that's their landscape. When I think of landscapes like that, I think about shamanic landscapes. I don't know if anyone's done any travelling to landscapes in that way, and I've really only dipped my toe in, and it was a few years ago. Probably did more than I'm giving myself credit. But what's interesting, and I'll tell you because maybe somebody does this, is that when you travel to drums or, well, I did it to drum. You travel to this other world, and you find a way through this world to enter either the upper or the lower realms. And I think I went up on this memorable journey, and I found a tree, and I went up through the tree. And then there are several layers and layers of this new world for you to explore, and the same as you go down. So obviously you could say, well, it's just your imagination and your... because you're allowing your imagination to... You're not quite sure whether it's just the way that you think or whatever. But I remember very firmly this incredibly lush green landscape, so the opposite of his. And it was sort of like a sort of trippy green. It was just unbelievable. It went on and on and on. And I read about this later, having had no prior knowledge, that actually that is a place that lots of people go to. So I like that these... so obviously the suit of the cups, they're all in a seascape or related to water in some way. The swords have a lot to do with the air, and the pentacles are to do with the earth. In the major arcana, we're looking at lots of sort of images of spring or kind of fertility. And now with the wands, we're in a very arid landscape, because I guess that's fire. It would burn up anything that was trying to grow in a way. But I like this reference to the pyramids. There's a sort of arid, fiery, mystical landscape of great knowledge, maybe lost knowledge. So I like that. And maybe it does relate somehow to shamanic sort of journeying, or maybe as a collective we journey in ways that we're not even aware of through our dreams, into different areas. And we're at this current stage in our attitude, we're dealing with passion, and it is coming out in the two outcomes, this idea of passion. How do we safely communicate with our passion? How do we safely harness our ability to do magic and will and make things happen? All of those kind of ideas. It's kind of interesting. But maybe we are at this stage in history as a collective, or just the collective that are turning up, or all, maybe that's on our personal journeys, we're all looking at how to integrate what we're really passionate about. Page of Wands is very, very interested in a million things, and he needs to slightly focus down, but he's just wonderfully enthusiastic. What am I saying about him? Clear skies, his blue hat. He almost looks like he's got eyeliner on, like Adamant. Who remembers him? Adamant is who I'm thinking of, because he was quite a Page of Wands type character. He was a pop star from when I was a kid. Really wonderful, avant-garde sort of arty character. Red tights and all the salamanders tumbling around on his tunic. Right, now, in our environment, this is interesting. I don't know whether to keep this Knight of Pentacles in reverse, but we've got the Tower, the Queen of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I think I am going to keep it like that because I nearly turned it around. There's something that told me to keep it that way. So, something not built on the right foundations with the Tower. Well, we know that lots of our wider experiences in the world would suggest that that's true at the moment. Lots of things are crumbling, trying to be rebuilt. And so in our environment, and then there's this Queen of Swords trying to be really rigorously honest and get to grips with what's going on and try and see it for what it is, not sugarcoat it, and use her incredible incisive intelligence to get to grips with this situation. But the Knight of Pentacles doesn't quite know what to do at the moment. He's in reverse. So it's as if we don't... The Knight of Pentacles works steadily towards an aim. He's a great caretaker. He's enormously steady, slow. His horse is barely moving. It's not moving. But he can work with the rhythms of the seasons to plant things and tend to them. He's a great caretaker. Like, he think that kind of Virgoan energy of doing things very consistently for a long-term aim, not needing to have immediate rewards, knowing how to set up systems. His actions are wonderful, but he doesn't quite know what to do at the moment, because I suppose we're still in the phase of the crumbling in some sense, and he's not quite found his feet. And so that's interesting, isn't it? But the Queen of Swords there, she's looking away from the Tower. She's slightly even ignoring the King of Pentacles, because the Knight of Pentacles, because she's like, she looks a bit worried, but she's looking up into the clear air. She's mastered all of those clouds, and she's all the kind of confused thought, and she's thinking, right, we need to come up with a plan, and I'm the woman to do it. With the Tower, the back of the hands being shown on one figure and the front of the hands being shown on another. What does that mean? Empty-handed. Surrender, almost like, put your hands up, showing there's nothing in them, we're left with nothing. Knight of Pentacles looks utterly determined, so he is going to find a way, he just doesn't quite know what, and so does his horse today to me. And I can see a tiny little spur. He might even, which I've never noticed, he might even think about getting moving. Things are so dire, also sort of in flux, that he might need to get the horse actually moving forward slightly. And the Queen of Swords, yeah, a little bit concerned. The sword looks very heavy, and I hadn't realised she has red beads, and I always notice the one red tassel around one arm, but actually she's got them on both. That's nice and balanced. Blessings, connections, threads of connections, threads of blessings. And I think they signify how she's able to sort of cut through ties. She's sort of the master of bindings, cutting the ties that bind. She's got that as part of her armoury. She won't be tricked. But also I see them as lovely messages of connection and blessings and luck, because people wear those red threads, don't they, around their wrist. So that's our environment. Trying to find our footing, analysing clearly what's going on. This could be personally for you, and then acknowledging that there has been a Tower moment, but we're trying to look away from it and make a strategy. In our hopes and fears, the Chariot and the Three of Swords. So this is our second three. So I suppose as a hope it would say that we can bring logic to our heart, because that's the advice of this Three of Swords. We hope for an end to this delay, and that we can get off, go racing like the chariot does, after what we need to go after on our mythic quest, ruled by the stars, balanced, dynamic. We need a new sort of sense of movement, because we can see that Knight of Pentacles is stuck, so we need to be able to get going. And we're wishing for an end to this delay. Possibly we're also thinking, because we're a bit frightened, because if it could be a fear, we're hoping that there is a delay to this next, whatever this next riotous movement is going to be, because that worries us slightly, because we probably haven't quite found our feet. So the hopes and fears always indicates both. So we know in a way we need to do it, but we maybe wouldn't mind being stuck for a while. And then this is so interesting, our outcome, the devil. Why? So our outcome is a sort of ramped up version of the Queen of Wands, who's so sort of passionate. And now we're slightly bound to our passions. We're not free of whatever has been plaguing us. So there's this rebirth. The King of Cups and the Nine of Wands, all sort of defensive in the past, so something we've not liked. The Tower energy, it's still hanging around. We're sort of still not through it. We're still bound to some aspects. The Devil's big sort of miserable face, that downturned mouth. His massively bulging, manic eyes. The couple who are tied, they don't really look that scared. They're sort of quite relaxed. As if the devil's taking the full burden of this kind of imprisonment somehow. They're barely aware it's happening. They might even think they're Adam and Eve still. So it sort of might talk about, look at their faces, they're quite relaxed. So it might talk about the fact that we're sort of barely aware of the forces that are working behind the scenes to kind of manipulate things. And we might think it's all right, it's a little bit uncomfortable, a bit hot in here, but nothing too big. It might be that, but let's see, let's cap this. So I'm going to pull a card from the Mystical Moments Tarot, the King of Pentacles. So he's who I was reminded of in the Ten of Pentacles. It's okay, there is stability coming, is what this is saying to me. The passions are needing to get balanced. See if they've got anything else to say. But the Hierophants here and the Tower, that's lovely, isn't it? It's saying after your Tower, there is some sort of correct rebuilding with the Hierophant. Your wisdom is good. The wisdom of the ages is going to come into play. There might be spiritual help. There might be help from other realms coming into play. It will be okay. Don't get too fixated on that Tower. And I like that because in the Death card I was really seeing, I was very much relating to the Bishop, so that a feeling of needing to get everything just right after this ending. Right, let's do our normal. How many minutes? Okay. I don't want to be too long. We'll do an Enchanted Forest Tarot card. The Wise Woman. So this is the High Priestess, yeah. All the wise people are turning up now. We've just had the Hierophant. We've got the sense of the High Priestess. Our intuition will be able to be on point, and it will help rebuild. That's what we need to connect to. Let's see if I've got the book. I have got the book. Excuse me. It's just here, I think. Let's get both of them out. I'll just, whoops. Here we go. I'll just read a tiny bit of the Wise Woman number 2. Wisdom, spirituality and mysticism, oracular advice, this is what we're doing here, seeing the unseen, lifting the veil. the wise woman wears a necklace of amber and jet, which invokes the energies of light and dark, day and night, illumination and mystery. So it's that kind of balance that we see in the Chariot, that the balance of the opposites in the Sphinx in terms of the colouring. She's that balanced. At a place where the forest path diverged stands an ancient apple tree. One side bears the silver apples of the moon, the other the golden apples of the sun. You can pass beneath these boughs to take either the dark path or the light path. There is an allure to both of these paths, with positive and negative aspects to each. So it's interesting, it's like the bishop and the devil turning up. And it's also making me think of that kind of Eden scene and the apple. Your choice is not obvious. The wise woman sits among the apple roots in its liminal place between possible futures. She won't make decisions for you, but she can help you decide for yourself. Skilled in the old ways, the wise woman works with her guides and spirits to read the auguries. Gathering up her oracular charms, she casts them upon the cloth, watching them fall into a pattern she understands. Now she meets your gaze, arching an eyebrow with subtle amusement. Do you really want to know your destiny? Yes, you do. You wouldn't be here if you weren't ready. This confirms there's a core of deep knowing within you, but you may need spiritual guidance to access it. Wisdom takes time, devotion, patience, and above all, willingness to accept and commit to the path you choose. The wise woman doesn't argue with oracles, and neither should you. Just read the signs, they're everywhere. So, maybe you're having to get in touch with quite a lot of your own inner wisdom for what's going on personally for you. Maybe with that devil turning up, there's a sense that you have kind of an addiction, or you're tied to something that you want to get free of. Your passions have become a bit out of balance, and so you need to employ this wisdom. But we've got the Hierophant, who's the sort of traditional wisdom male version, and we've got the wise woman, and they are coming to help us with whatever this tower moment was. And here with the I love this, with the Shining Tribe Tarot, we have this 7 of birds, so I'll quickly read that as well. This is about territories that are talked about with their that are written through sound. Setting boundaries, cooperation with respect for differences, creative solutions to practical problems, good communication and negotiation. And basically it said, the idea of borders and songs can serve as a metaphor for communication and relationship. To function well in relationship, we each need to define our own territory clearly in our minds. Then we need to communicate to the other person or people. If we can do this in a pleasant way that still remains very clear, we can increase the chances the other person will hear it. The more each person can define their sense of life and what they need and offer, the stronger the relationship can become. It's not the most romantic image, but many people have found it a very valuable one. But if we're rebuilding communities and borders, then and needing to rebuild our idea of how we're bound to someone else with the devil, then that is a really, really helpful energy. We need to set our own boundaries out, what our own needs are. It says, we see both birds and humans singing to claim territory. Behind the humans we see rolling hills reminiscent of the sacred mother shape in the Empress. The song serves to a practical purpose to establish the border. At the same time, its beauty and its religious meaning give it depth and power, lacking in technical descriptions of territory. In a harsh environment, the system of interlocking songs helps to avoid conflicts and wars. We would like to do that. I really love that. It's a really beautiful. It's talking about the Aboriginal song lines and the fact that lines of territories are drawn through story and song there. But I think that idea of boundaries would help us with the devil, would help us as we rebuild. And because we had the oracular, because we had her casting some things, I have a bag that I've never used of lovely little charms here, and I don't know how to do that. Oh, well, of course I know how to do it, because we all know how to do this. But I might pick a couple for us here and see what's coming up. Oh, that's one big. That's just my pendulum. That's not part of the charm package. But what have we got here? We've got dragonfly. Okay, that usually means transformation and seeing through illusion. We've got the tree, for me personally, a symbol of great strength and beauty and sort of joy, but also I was talking about that shamanic tree that you can travel up and down into the worlds. We've got a sort of fairy, helping us, the elemental world. So 2 flying beings, a tree, another, what have we got here? A swift. So that's movement of the chariot coming to us. What's this one? We got the frog. What frog means cleansing, doesn't it? That's interesting. So we need to cleanse some things, which is probably the tower and the death, rebalancing things. And then this one. Oh, I thought it was a little flower. It's not. It's a witch on her broom. So, in fact, that's talking to me about the Queen of Wands. Lovely, the sun's coming out just as we thought about her. So, getting in touch with our intuitive witchy energy, starting the movement of the chariot with the swift. The idea of cleansing that's coming in through the death and the tower, cleansing things that aren't built on the right foundations. This mystical transform. Oh, sorry, I keep knocking this. Transformation of the dragonfly. It's a really incredible, people talk about how the dragonfly gets into a complete mush as it's about to transform from its larva state. It's just like this kind of mush. So that might be how we feel as a collective, but we have to allow ourselves to know that we're transforming into this ancient being, the dragonfly. And when they come, they always make you think of magic, illusions, change, transformation, and an ancient wisdom, and then the tree, shamanic journeying. And personally for me, and I'm sure for lots of people, a symbol of great sort of hope. And we also have, after the tower, we have this rebuilding of the Hierophant in this version of it, where the owl is sitting in the wisdom of the tree, teaching us sort of the wisdom of nature. So I love those symbols. Right, we'll use those again. I don't know how much more we need to add to this, really. I think maybe a teeny tiny. I was going to add some oracles, but I don't think so. I think the charms have done that job. So the oracles are, the teeny tiny tarot is saying, yeah, you've been through your death. This is the minor to the death. Let go, stop struggling. The transformation has to happen. I'm watching a snail moving slowly. Oh, and literally across the back of the bench. Really beautiful snail. It's fine. After this letting go, after this death, we're going to rebuild with the 4 of Wands, something really beautiful, beautiful partnerships, space for celebration. Look, we're right back where we started with these characters under the bow. We've got 2 of them at least. We've got the blue and white now and the red. So the others, I'm sure, are joining. There are other people behind. But we're right back. We've created a structure where our communities can flourish. It's a beautiful huppah, mendip, temporary tent structure for communication, for celebration, for enjoying our attachment and communication with each other and the broader community. So allow the ending. It's fine. We are doing that dragonfly thing. What a nice reading. Thank you, collective. I'll be making lots of these while I'm here. Well, maybe not. I'm only here for a bit. But anyway, see you soon.